Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nia Pearson,
And I'm Darian Smith.
and we're here to talk to you about realism. We have two questions. What is realism?
And how does it affect our society today? They succeeded. Realism began around the late 19th century, around the end of Louis Philippe's reign, and started in the Third Napoleon Empire. Uh, Realist painter Gustave Gaboret quoted, painting is a concrete art and should only consist of the representation of what is real rather than what you think it is." Uh, I'm basically the realist subjects were the working middle class and showing the brutal conditions that they had to go through during their everyday life. I read a book that's called Judgment of Paris by Ross King. Now, this book talked about the lives of Edward Manet and Ernest Meissonier. They were two impressionist painters. Now, the question that some may ask is, well, you were talking about realism, so what does impressionism have to do with anything? Well, the two go hand in hand. The reason the two are connected is simply because both of them were direct opposites of each other. Realists believe that you should show the world how it really is. Impressionists believe that you should show the world how it should be or how you want it to be. Now, in this book, it explained how a lot of the artists of the Impressionist movement didn't have much hope. A lot of times they were criticized for their artwork, saying that it wasn't finished or it wasn't good enough or didn't show the world how it really was. Now, a lot of times the Impressionists, usually they would just go about their business, but eventually they wanted to start having credit for their works. They wanted to get into the expositions that were going on. But a lot of times they were, still giving criticism and they were denied access. So what did they do? Instead of, sitting around and moaning, one artist by the name of Claude Monet. Now, Claude Monet, he gained his access because one day he was allowed access to the roof of the Louvre. Now, the Louvre was a famous museum that held a lot of the famous paintings. In him painting on that roof, someone discovered him for the first time, and they hung his painting up in the gallery, on the wall in one of his galleries. Now, in the people walking past that, the Impressionists began to gain a lot of exposure. So eventually, people started paying to see more and more of their works, and Impressionism came about to be. Now, again, I say the overall goal of the Impressionists was to show life how it should be and how people hope for it to be rather than how it actually was. They felt that the world still had hope, and you can't always give it to people straight. Sometimes you have to butter them up and show the world for what it could be and for what it has the potential of being. Therefore, it can almost make the society want to become better at what it does. Now, going back to the Universal Exposition in France, the theme of that from 1867 was pretty much what can we do to improve our society and how can we make it better. Now, in a way, the Impressionists almost doing that in showing that their artworks, for showing the world how it could be, it was actually showing the world for actually what it could be. And in doing that, it almost gave the people a sense of hope, showing that, oh, we can actually do better. We can make the world a better place. We can be happier. We can experience the world for the beauty that it actually has. We just actually have to work for it and hopefully, work together and come together as a whole and as a unit, and hopefully one day we can get there today. Now, that does still apply today as we see. We know that our world, especially our country, the United States, we are actually not the best, but we still have to work together and give each other the United States, we still have to work together to make our world a better place. And in order to do that, the people have to have some form of hope and looking forward into getting to our overall goal and making the world.
Realism art is to be considered a truthful art. It displays how life really is and not the imagining fairy tale life. Realist paintings reflected political importance of the working class in the 1850s. Honoré de Balzac and Émile Zola are a couple of excellent realist writers and have influenced the world with their novels. The Human Comedy was written by Balzac and told the story of the horrible struggle for wealth and power for the French society. Zola wrote numerous novels about French workers in small shops, factories, and coal mines. Realism was known to show no brightness to life. The book I read was called The Greater Journey by David McCullough. The main theme of the book was how the world was changing through art and the types of art there was, such as writing, painting, poetry, etc. Now, how does realism connect to this book? Well, between the 1830s and the 1900s, there was a movement, the art movement, to make it general. Many artists fled from across the world to come to Paris to make something of themselves. The Greater Journey is a book full of engaging artists, especially Impressionists and Romanticists. Now, I know you're wondering, what's Impressionists and Romanticists have to do with realism? Actually, it has everything to do with realism, because they are opposite against realism. Since my partner Darian already explained the Impressionists, Romanticism was an intellectual movement by itself. It emphasized inspiration, subjectivity, and the primacy of the individual, which is the rank of a person. The person in my book that David McCullough spoke of was James Fenimore Cooper. He was a Romanticist writer. He was friends with Samuel Morse, who was a painter. He brought his family to Europe in 1826 and found himself to be popular through his book called The Last of the Mohicans. While in Europe, he wrote 8 novels that cemented his reputation. He was known to be a passionate and complicated observer, and wrote many books besides the one I just named. Because he was a romanticist, he believed that life should be flawless and the way a person will want their life to be, and with a happy ending. Now, of course, realist writers criticize his fantasy thinking, but if it wasn't for the romanticists and impressionists, people would have no hope. Lastly, to conclude our topic, my partner and I would like to share with you what has inspired us. Just talk.
We have seen that the realist and impressionist movements have two separate views. Now, for me, it has inspired me because I realize that there are certain aspects of the world and how I want it to be, but I also know that there are certain things that I know probably aren't going to come easily. I know that the world can be a very bitter place, but there is always hope that we can, build on it and hopefully make it better. It has inspired my thoughts, ambitions, and dreams because I'm a musician, and just like it is all arts. And we all realize that when it comes to this kind of stuff, it takes a lot of creativity. So, I have to bring certain aspects from both realist and impressionist thoughts and hopefully fuse them together and hopefully bring something that people.
Personally, I love art and I love how artists can be so passionate about what they do. It has truly made an impact on me and changed how I analyze what a picture means, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, as the quote says. It has truly stimulated my dreams, my ambitions, and my thoughts by helping me understand the world better. The Greater Journey was an excellent book. It taught me that if you want to do it, you can do it. People from all over the world came to Paris to make something of themselves, and that's what I. Well, we thank you so much for watching.
We hope that we have actually taught you something, as we have seen the realist and impressionist side from our view of the modern world and how they viewed it back then. We hope that you go forth, and we hope that you can actually do something to change the world. You go forth, my fellow Americans, and have a wonderful day.